Welcome to tonight's Plan Commission meeting. It's Thursday, April 11th at 6:30 p.m. Calling the meeting to order. Can I get a roll call?
Pajewski.
Here.
Anfuson.
Here.
Finkler.
Here.
Traxler.
Here.
Albright.
Here.
Myers. And Monday. He's not here, so
Not here yet? Okay.
not here. I'll let you know if he jumps into Zoom.
Okay. A meeting was properly noticed?
Yes.
All right. I will take a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
All right. We have a first and a second. Do I have to say who? First from Anfinson, second from Juski. I don't want to say your name wrong. All right. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? All right, I forgot any discussion, sorry. Any discussion? No, okay. All right, looking for a motion to approve the Plan Commission minutes from January 11th, 2024.
I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a first from Majewski and a second from Anfinson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next, public hearing. We are not having a public hearing tonight, but you wanted to speak to that.
Yeah, I just want to say, we meant to have one. The public notice, hearing notice, made it in the newspaper once, not twice as required by law, so we can't officially have a public hearing, but we may have some people here that want to speak on it, so it's really up to the commission on how you want to handle that public comment.
All right, does anybody want to speak to it today? Sure. Come on up, state your name and your address.
Libby Gilbertson, 548 South Charles Street in Columbus. I'm on the HLPC Commission. From what I could tell when I reviewed the proposed amendment that we're going to have the public hearing on tonight, it didn't appear to be different from the one that the commission had submitted as part of the ordinance when it had initially been redrafted, other than having the vote requirement of the 2/3 versus the full common council approval and the 15-day ability or timeline to submit an appeal versus the 24 that we had written in ours. So just to verify, those are the only two differences, which we are fine with. So.
And I'm Ruth Hermanson, 986 Warner Street, CHLPC Commissioner. What I want to interject here is some of the reasons why to have this ordinance and to make people aware of the importance of historic structures within the 5 historic districts of Columbus. It's not the intent of the Wisconsin Historical Society to, tell you what to do, things like that. I brought some pamphlets with me tonight. They offer good suggestions. They have, to keep the historic integrity. And then most importantly, if your home is on the state and local register, the federal and state register, you can apply for tax credits. So just say you put, I'm just going to use 100,000. I know that's a big number, but just say if you did a roof, heating and cooling, improvements to the outside, insulation, maybe something with water service, you could get up to 30% back, so you could have $30,000 in tax credits. And you can use that for a period of 5 to 10 years. It maxes out, and you can adjust your taxes with that. So it's for knowledge, and for commercial properties, it's even higher. So it's a win-win, and the issue is, they're not going to tell you what color to paint the house. They can make some suggestions. So there's a real push, knowing that older homes take a lot of money to maintain, and it's part of our culture and historic of the area. And so it's our tax dollars at work, and we're telling a story. And if anybody would like one of these pamphlets, I can give it to them. Any questions from us? Okay.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay, thank you. If you want to look at it. All right, awesome. We can move on to the next item on the agenda because we are not having the public hearing, and the next item is to discuss this code. So does anybody have anything to discuss about this?
And I have the proposed addition to the, up on the screen here. And so it kind of references what Ruth referenced there. And the state statute requires an appeal process for any designation, so that would make this clear.
Yeah, and from being on the ad hoc committee, I just want to point out that this is set up in such a way that the appeal body is the council and it doesn't go up higher. So we have it where the approval is by the commission and the appeal by the council.
More affordable for people, probably more streamlined, more efficient.
Are we having commentary on it?
Sure.
My only thought when looking through it was, throughout the code, there's a number of deadlines and timelines for review and such things, and most of them are relatively long, but the appeals, it's limited to 15 days. And when I looked at that, I wondered if it might just be, there's times you might be in a situation where 15 days might be short to prepare, perhaps. So I thought maybe we should consider lengthening that for the appeals as well.
Do you have any feedback on where that came from? Because I don't remember us changing that date in the ad hoc committee, so I'm a little fuzzy on why it's changed.
I
Not sure.
That's what was sent to me. so
Okay, okay.
That's something certainly at the next meeting, in your discussions with public feedback, that's certainly something you could change.
Okay. Anybody have any other thoughts? All right, do we need to make a motion to postpone this to next meeting then, discussion?
Sure.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to postpone till next meeting. Which is May, what is the next one?
I want to say 20th?
Okay, so we have the right date, okay.
Yes, that's a Monday. Does someone have a calendar quick? I just want to double check my memory. That Monday, or no, it's a Thursday.
Thursday.
It's a Thursday, so that's a different
It's
meeting.
gonna be the second Thursday of the month,
Yes,
so it's the 9th.
the 9th.
May 9th.
Different meeting on that one.
No worries. Looking for a motion to postpone till May 9th?
I'll make a motion to postpone agenda item 6, the public hearing, until May 9th.
And 7.
I'll second.
All right, I have a first from Anfinson and a second from Albright. Any discussion?
Just one quick question for Mike. Is that enough time to get both notices out?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
All right. Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, and that was for item number 6, the public hearing. I will also look for another motion to postpone agenda item number 7 till May 9th.
I'll make a motion to approve, postpone agenda item number 7 until the May 9th meeting.
I'll second it.
All right, we got a first from Anfinson and a second from Traxler. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Number 8, Removing fence regulations from building code. Did you want to speak to that?
Sure. I did write a little report in the staff report a little bit, and I can bring this up here now that I found it. Oops. I know it's a little bright up there. Let's see, view. The short of this is fences, this building code goes back to 1978, not very recent. But when it comes to the placement of fences, it's really a zoning function. It's not a building code function. It's not how the fence is constructed, what type of screws, all that kind of stuff. It's really location, height, those kinds of things. It's really zoning code. And we do have fence code in our fence ordinances in our zoning code. But we also have building code related to fences. And not only does that put homeowners in a place where they need to apply for 2 permits, there's also kind of redundancy there in the code overall. And then also this building code section for people who, if you want to build a fence within less than 2 feet to the property line, in addition to getting a survey, you need to get adjacent property written permission. And there's problems with that, neighboring properties could just not do that just because they don't like someone, really just arbitrary reasons. Also, there's some attorneys out there that would make the case that's unconstitutional, that due process about being arbitrary and something that otherwise is legal, neighbors, and it just at what point do you allocate zoning rules approval from this body to private property owners? It's an unusual thing to see in the code, and not necessarily the best thing to have in the code. So by removing this code from the building code, we still have the fence code, and I can bring that up if you like. We still have the fence code, and it's a pretty good code. So my recommendation here is have the discussion on whether or not you should continue to have section. All right, where's my mouse? Section 18-222 in the building code.
For tonight, are you looking for just a discussion, or because it says discussion possible action, so you would be looking to have a motion for removing
If
it?
you're comfortable taking action tonight, that would be great, because I think there's likely, lots of fence permit applications coming in. If you feel comfortable with that.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nate's light is on first.
Oh, you're up.
Sorry.
More.
So there's no, so if you took this out of the building code, it's gonna so I'm building a new house, or I'm upgrading my upgrading that lot or whatever, I still will have to go through, still have to apply, follow the zoning code, and it doesn't matter. And that this one, I'm just worried that if you remove it from the building code, there could be a loophole in there somewhere where we're losing some type of,
We're over-regulating in my
Okay.
view on this.
Okay.
Completely. I can bring up, why don't I bring up the fence code? I'll bring that up here. Come on.
Does the fence code apply to residential and commercial properties?
Yes.
Okay.
Or, I should look at my computer screen, so I'm not blinded, like, looking at that screen. Here we go. So fences, walls, and hedges. Oh, let me see if I can make that a little bit larger. I'll summarize here. Number one, no barbed wire, other sharp points, and electric fences and stuff like that. Number two, no permanent fence, retaining wall shall be constructed within any public street right away. Kind of an obvious thing. Number three, fence, walls and hedges in residential districts shall not exceed a maximum height of 6 feet, located up to lot lines. And gets into business districts, a maximum height of 8 feet. Front yard, 4 feet in height, and you can't block the vision triangle. So if you think of somebody on a corner, that's why it's 4 feet, and even if it's 4 feet and it's blocking the vision triangle, you wouldn't be able to have it. And then the last one is the most, the good side of the fence facing out. So if your neighbor puts up a fence, you're seeing the good side of the fence. And then the last one, number 8, a property survey is required prior to the construction of any fence less than 2 feet from the property line. And, one of the reasons we have zoning code is to reduce land use conflicts, in this property survey is a really good thing to have in there, because then people can, I guess, have competing surveys, but the odds of those being conflicting, pretty minimal. So, I think this is a very reasonable fence code, and this does the job here in the zoning code the way it should.
Thank you. Any other questions, or anyone want to make a motion? Do you guys have any concerns with Ruth coming up and making a comment? No? Okay, come on up.
I am 986 Warner Street, Ruth Hermanson. One of the reasons, something about a 2-foot setback, was so that you could go on your property and maintain that side of the fence. If it was right on the property line, and you had to get permission from your neighbor to, like, say, paint the fence. So I was just wondering, because I can't read that, is it still require a 2-foot setback, or if the neighbor signs off, it's agreeable, or is that in there?
If the fence is, in the zoning code, if the fence is going to be closer than 2 feet, you need to have a survey
Yeah.
to do that. The building code portion, which we're considering removing from, is where the written permission comes from. And as I said earlier, that potentially is unconstitutional and arbitrary, because
Right.
someone could deny someone of having a fence there for arbitrary reasons.
So the new way you're proposing, or that it's in this section, is that you could put it on the fence line if you had a survey?
That's how it is currently.
Oh, that's how it, I thought there was a 2-foot setback.
Without a survey. You can have a fence 2 feet from the property line without a survey.
Correct.
If you get a survey, you can have it at the property line.
So then your neighbor could come on your property to maintain it, and if they get hurt on your property, you're liable.
I did not say that,
No, I'm asking.
no. They would have to get permission for maintenance,
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
right?
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, any other discussion or motion?
Now, what do other communities do? Is this in line with other communities, or?
I think it's pretty progressive. A lot of places don't have that survey requirement.
Is it a certified survey or just
A property
Just a property
survey. So essentially, just trying to find where those
Sure.
corner stakes are, so that it would be a survey that was able to do that. And for more, if it's newer development, those stakes are kind of there, and so usually there's a certified survey map that can do that. But it's really the older development where we want to see a more recent survey, so, because those stakes kind of get lost sometimes and moved and those kinds of things, so. But I think this is, our zoning fence code is really pretty well. One thing, what I really don't like is having fence regulations in the building code. So one thing you could do, if you wanted to, you could vote to remove that from the building code tonight, and then come back and revisit the fence code and add things to that later. That way you keep things moving along. Those are things you could do. But I think the fence code's pretty good, and you can have, Ruth made a point, maintenance is important. And when people decide to put the fence on the property line, they need to think about that too. Are you on good terms with your neighbor and those kinds of things? And if you do have a fence on your property line, wouldn't you want to let your neighbor maintain the fence? So it's kind of in their interest as well. So it's a balancing test. Certainly, that's for all of you to consider.
Is there anything in or I just briefly looked at it, but is there anything in there about, so say I want to put up a fence 2 feet from my property line, and Steve, my neighbor, wants to put one up 2 feet from his property line, or he wants to come to the property line, is there any, we could potentially have a 2-foot gap between fences,
Yes.
and there's also the other portion of it is if he wants to put one on his lot line, and I want to put one on mine, I hope he builds his first so that I can kind of attach to his in a way. But
I've
is
been
there
in
any
that position.
protections like that? Because I've seen other people where they've worked it out with their neighbors where they've,
I think some of this stuff, we could go round and round for months on every little scenario, and I think this is one of these things where we have a pretty good code, and sometimes we have to let neighbors be neighborly, hopefully, and work things out. And there are people that hope that the neighbor puts one up on the fence line because they kind of get a free fence.
That's what I was
Right.
thinking too.
It's kind,
Save
and.
me a couple
and-
grand.
And, some, people, sometimes some of this stuff, neighbors just need to work it out. And that's kind of beyond the scope of what we can do ultimately. We could add more restrictions to that, but I don't know if that ultimately solves things, like you brought up, well, if one person puts it now we got does it make sense to have a 4-foot gap between fences and those kinds of things, and, yeah, I mean.
I like it, but.
It makes sense to me to put all the fence code in one place. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But like, I just brought up Sun Prairie's fence code. Sun Prairie has a 2-foot setback, period, from what I can tell on their website. And that does make sense that, particularly for maintenance, that the fence shouldn't be right on the lot line because you shouldn't need to go into someone else's property to maintain yours. So I think that's worth thinking about.
All right, let's see here.
Andy?
Yeah, I was just going to, agree with this approach where we remove it from the building code, and maybe we have a list of priorities here for number 13. We can add that to our list of priorities to go through the fencing code. I was going to make a motion, but Shelley put her light on, so I'll hold off on that.
Well, I just wanted to, I agree with you about changing the fence because one of my issues is, obviously it says that you can have the building inspector allow for like an 8-foot fence or whatever, a change in that. And I guess I have a little bit of an issue of demanding a 6-foot fence, especially if you're doing it because you have dogs or chickens or something like that, and you want to have an extra couple feet to ensure that your livestock stay in your backyard. So, I agree. I think we should get this off the building code and then maybe revisit the fencing regulation after the fact.
Right. Want to do your motion?
So I will make a motion to remove the fence regulations from building code, Division 1, Section 18-222.
And I'll second that.
All right, we have a first from Traxler and a second from Albright. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it is removed.
And this will go on to probably Cal, I'm guessing, and then on to city council when
Okay.
it's ready. So I think that would be the process. So.
Okay, perfect. All right, and the next agenda item is review a certified survey map for Columbus Properties LLC. I will entertain discussion or a motion.
One point.
Oh, yeah. Can you talk to it
Yeah, I
first?
just want,
Jumping the gun
I can bring up the CSM here. Overall, the CSM looks really good. This is a R4 zoning district. That's a multifamily zoning district. Right now, this lot, it's in the corner of Waterloo and Folsom. The new CSM creates Lot 2 here, up in this area here. It all looks pretty good. There's one aspect that does need to be corrected. This R4 zoning district has a impervious surface limit of 60%, I believe. And when this lot gets created, of course, you're removing green space, that increases the percentage of impervious surface by removing that green space. So that puts them over the top, so that it really creates a non-conforming lot by that line there. So I believe this lot, if this lot here could be amended so that that percentage is met. So that's something to be considered here. I believe of our residential districts, only the multifamily district has this impervious surface requirement. But that's one aspect of this, that creating this extra lot would turn that lot into a non-conforming lot regarding impervious surface.
All right, any discussion or motion?
I'm looking at this, and am I understanding it correct that this dotted line here is a new lot line? What I'm wondering is if there's any setback issues. Is that a lot line right there?
My understanding is this is the new lot.
That's the new lot line.
And these-
Okay, they're breaking
these
this
are-
off from
these are
this.
old CSMs, so this is creating.
Got it, sorry, I was,
Yeah, lot 2, and this setback is fine.
yep, that would,
So if they reduce this lot in a little bit,
got it. I was misinterpreting something.
there's a
Thank you.
lot of lines on there. So if you want to see that, the CSM revised, you can send it back for revision or move it on as a non-conforming lot. Any questions, concerns? Do you want to I would think ultimately this lot's gonna end up as some type of additional, like a duplex or a small multifamily building of some sort, ultimately.
So in theory, this looks big enough to me like it almost could be a fourplex. Do you have any do we know what they want to put there, or?
Specifically, no, but I would think that, you know, single family, two-family, and multifamily are all permitted in the R4 zoning district. It's surrounded by R2, I believe. R2 or R3. So my guess is it would be, could be a fourplex.
So then that could potentially be parking lot. So, yeah, I can see.
They would need to meet all the
Yeah, so I can
setback
see where you're
requirements.
saying, what you're saying is they could potentially have more cemented area, which also will affect stormwater and everything
Right. you
on
know,
that area.
Right, so, right, so yeah, the new Lot 2 subtracts land from the original lot, so that increases that impervious surface area. So if they make Lot 2 a little bit smaller, they would keep Lot 1 as a conforming lot, because you'd have more green space to offset the cement. And I think they would still be able to do some type of multifamily on Lot 2.
Yeah, because you could always go up instead of going long, you know, so,
Correct,
yeah,
correct,
so
yeah.
they.
You can go
put two-
vertical.
Yeah, go up, go vertical instead of going lengthwise, so.
Any other discussion or motion?
So we can, if you'd like to send this back, you can either postpone it to the next meeting and allow the applicant, or postpone it, well, probably it would be best if you want to see it revised, make a motion to revise the CSM to address the impervious surface issue. And then that way, the applicant can come back with the updated survey, because we don't always know how long that would take.
Okay. Looking for motion then?
Would we want to just table this into the next meeting? Is that what the motion would be for further information or more information?
I don't know how quickly a surveyor could update this, you know,
Okay.
and so I think if it's, recommend that the CSM be revised to address impervious surface requirements. If that was the motion, then it's kind of open,
Open.
gives the
Yep.
applicant time, on their timeline to bring it back.
Okay, all right, I'd like to make a motion that, we bring this back once the certified survey map has been revised, or,
To address.
to address the impervious land,
Impervious surface, yeah.
impervious surface.
I'd second.
All right, we got a first from Albright and a second from Hajewski. Do we have any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Moving on to number 10, resolution approving the City of Columbus adjusted urban area boundary map. Did you want to speak to that first?
Sure, I'll bring this up a little bit. Periodically, the State Department of Transportation submits a revised adjusted urban boundary map that guides transportation policy. This is the proposed adjusted one. There's a copy in your packet, and the urban boundary includes Fall River. I think kind of the more nuanced changes on this one is to the east, it now includes the interchange, the east interchange on 151. That's probably the most noticeable change from the previous one. And some that's the main change. There's a resolution that goes along with this that's in your packet. If you approve this today, it would go on to COW and then City Council, and these are done periodically. I don't know if I'm not sure if they do them annually or every couple of years. But this is the one I've been working with the DOT staff person on most recently.
Any questions?
Can you tell us a little more about what it means to be in the urban area versus not, what the impact is?
It can impact, I think it does impact a little bit some of the designations of state connecting highways, which are considered local roads. You know, if you're within that urban area, that influences levels of access on those connecting highways. And there's probably other elements of state DOT road funding, you know, if a road's in an urban area versus not in, and so there's probably elements of that impact state grants and other kinds of formulas for state aid.
Any other questions or motion?
One quick one. I'm going way back in my memory bank here, but this doesn't make Columbus responsible for like maintenance and plowing of this interchange area or anything, right? Because we had something like this back in the day, but where we had to take over. You know, basically, we ended up taking Faith Drive all the way out past the hospital as a responsibility of the city for, you know, road maintenance and plowing and stuff.
That sounds like connecting highway stuff.
Yeah. But I just curious. I mean, this is their map that they're asking us to adopt, I guess, so.
Right. I mean, and if there's areas you want to suggest change, we can adjust the map back and.
Just want clarification on who's responsible for, if that's going to impact who's responsible for plowing on-ramps to the highway interchanges there, and how far out Columbus has to go now to plow.
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
I could be completely wrong,
Right,
too, so
right.
don't.
Yeah,
I'm sorry if I am,
don't know
but-
the answer to that, but what we could do is postpone this to the next meeting. I can check with our public works people
I just want to make
on
sure.
plowing and.
That, you know, that, I just remember that, you know, that could be a burden, not a major burden, but it could impact different things within the city, so just want to make sure.
We can do that. We can check on that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I guess I'll make a motion to postpone that to our next meeting for clarification on if the connecting highway impacting would impact our, what impacts it has on like our city staff with the plowing and road maintenance.
I can second that.
All right, I got a motion, first from Traxler and a second from Albright to postpone this to the May 9th meeting to get some clarification from staff. Any other discussion? Nate, did you have any? Nope. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Number 11, Plan Commission roles and responsibilities.
This is something the president brought up. I did include this in the staff report, so in your emails, in the staff report, you'll see some links under roles and responsibilities. Number 10, but first I'll go through, you know, this section here of our city code. Functions and duties, talks about holding public hearings, informational meetings, make and adopt a comprehensive plan, make and recommend an official map, A lot of people are familiar with a zoning map. What a lot of people are not familiar with is the official map. That has a definite meaning. And essentially that outlines existing and future right-of-ways and parklands. So for instance, in my office right here, is the official map, and you can see where some arterial roads to the west are mapped out connecting. And why that is important, if building permits come in and people want to build in there, we have the ability to deny those permits because it's keeping those right-of-ways open for future transportation. So it really is an important map. And a lot of people, it's not really that well known of a tool, but that's something that, as a commission, is on part of your responsibility. And it's probably, the date on that is 2007. So at some point here, we may want to revise and take a look at, do these roads make sense with potential future development? Prepare and recommend zoning district plan and regulations. You know, we've talked about zoning code tonight some, so you're doing some of those. Land divisions, the comprehensive plan that was approved in 2021. So creating that vision and maintaining and implementing that plan as well. So that's what's in our city code for rules and responsibilities. If you want to go into more of these, we can, but under state statutes here, there's a link to 66.01 that covers a lot of plan commission related stuff. The ultimate manual here is created by our friends at the UW Stevens Point Land Use Center, the Plan Commission Handbook. And there's a link to this, and there's also the Zoning Board Handbook. But I would start off with the Plan Commission Handbook and review that. You can click on that link. I gotta do control. If you want to print it out, you can, or save it as a PDF and look at it. But this is really a well-done document by Rebecca Roberts at UW Extension at Stevens Point. So it goes through this is kind of your Bible as a plan commission. It's good to have that on your desktop. And then the other thing, let's see if we go back. So then they have this whole UW Stevens Point land use. The Land Use Center, if you haven't been there, they have quite a few resources over here. They have some trainings that they put on, Plan Commission workshops. Spring 2024, they had one in February. Floodplain stuff, local officials, zoning workshop, April 30th, that's coming up pretty quick. If someone wants to go to those, that would be a good one, 5:38 Elkhorn. And then they have some recorded ones too. So if there's topics or things you think we need to discuss, shoot me an email, give me a call, and we can see how we can, if we do that individually or as a group. But there's quite a few resources out there for plan commissions. And I guess this is just kind of a start of kind of revisiting some of that stuff and trying to get for me to help understand where you guys are coming from and what you guys want to get updates on. So, any questions on roles and responsibilities?
Nate?
Not all too familiar with the process for building businesses or anything in the city. I built a house here, but everything was done for me, so it was kind of nice. My previous community, all building projects went through the Plan Commission before it even came to our council. for approval. Is that how Columbus works? I haven't been able to find anything definitive saying this is the step. So let's say when the Dollar General decides, or one of those dollar stores that's coming to town on the old countryside lot, when they decide to build, does the plan commission see those site plans first, the building plans, to make sure that, you know, everything's conforming, make adjustments before it goes to committee of whole or council?
Right.
Or does it go directly to the council and
It's
the plan
approved.
commission never sees it?
It's approved administratively by staff.
It is, okay.
Yeah. The one exception to that is the code, when there's a conditional use permit, that requires a
Right.
site plan, and that comes to the plan commission. And
Okay,
that's how our code is currently written. That doesn't mean it's the best way or the only way to do it, but that's how it is today.
okay,
And so like when we get into roles and responsibilities, you know, updating the code and things like that, that kind of thing is the kind of thing we can explore. There's
Okay.
a lot of changes needed to the code, but that is, every place kind of does do it a little bit different.
right.
And it doesn't mean one way is right or wrong, it's just different ways to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Are you looking for approval of these roles and responsibilities, or is this just, it says
Just
discussion
information.
and possible action, so,
It's just information.
okay,
The discussion and action is just to kind of make it clear that there could be, as a commission, you might take action on something. Say, if you wanted to have a workshop on a particular topic, you could.
okay. The only comment I have to make is this is kind of timely with potential changeover in the plan commission. So just want to make sure that if there is anybody new joining, we'll want to get these resources to them.
Yeah, maybe what I can do is kind of, because it's helpful just to put together like I can kind of create a packet of
Yeah,
some
like an
sort,
onboarding.
online
Yep.
packet, onboarding packet, and then
Yep.
give it to everybody and then keep updating that.
Yep, that would be perfect.
Okay.
All right, so do we need to make a motion on this then? Nope. Okay. Anything else on this before we move on? All right, number 12, review new interactive map GIS.
One of the things when I came here is the tools we had for the zoning map we had was a static PDF map. And so I'm used to, early in my career, I started out as a map person, so I'm once a map geek, always a map geek. So, and I've also seen in my career, when we have more interactive tools, that's helpful to realtors, developers, citizens that want to do an addition on their home, trying to figure out what their zoning is, are they in the floodplain, are they not, you know, all those different kinds of things. So I worked with Ruckert and Milky because we've had this tool at the staff level, and we ended up taking pieces of it and making it accessible to the public. And so I want to go out to the city website. Couple different ways to get to this interactive GIS. One, you can scroll down here to city maps, click there. The other way is if you go to business, zoning and planning, and then scroll down Columbus zoning map and interactive GIS. So you click on that, and then you click on the icon there. I did not do that today. I did not mean to. Yeah. So I'm just going to scroll down here. Click on city maps. And this comes up. So then on the left here, you can turn on aerials, the aerial photos. County layers from the county GIS are here, including the floodplain layer. which is helpful in the city. So you can see the lots, the parcel numbers. This is also connected to county GIS, so I should get a tax record. So when you go to the county GIS, you go up here. If you want to see the TIF districts, those are, well, you could.
Floodplain, the line, where the lines are,
Yeah, yep.
that's the
That-
floodplain overlay?
Floodplain, floodway, yep, yep.
Must be just outside.
Of course, it's not working a little bit there, but you can, the TIF layers are right here, TIF districts. It's not quite working like we should, but zoning layers right here. And then one thing that's not very clear, if you want to see the zoning category, see this little micro legend here, super micro legend. If you click on that, the categories show up. And then there's a slider, so you get the bright colors, and if you want to have the air photos underneath and you want to see the zoning, the air photos through the zoning, you can dim it out to just light colors. But this,
Just out of curiosity, can you go back to that lot that we were looking at earlier, or would that be inappropriate?
I don't know what lot I was at. Oh, that lot, yeah, yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. Turn off. So one. Folsom, I'm in the wrong spot, am I? Help me out here. I'm still newbie. Am I further north? Down.
Yeah, towards 89.
There we go, right here. So you got, this is the R4 district, and then this is the, match them up here. Looks like, is that R3? It's hard with this light. This light's not helping any, but, so this is where that lot 2 would be, and then this is where all those other buildings are across here. But this is, we've got a number of comments since we went live with this, and it helps people out, figure out zoning. And if people can figure out, on a Saturday, figure out what their zoning is and what they're doing at home, that means they're not calling me. Yeah, saves you time. It saves everybody time.
Yeah.
It's better, it's
Love
good
it.
customer service, so. So this is a new tool we put out there, and it's really helpful. So it's just kind of one of the things. And then, of course, there's tools, measuring tools, like this little box here. Click on that. On markup, you can do measure distance or polygon, stuff like that. And then you can also, you can right-click and then create a map, PDF map, or a JPEG to include in a document or a zoning application. So there's things like that.
Nice.
So, customer service tool helps a lot. We've had appraisers utilize this tool. We've had realtors use it, citizens using it already. We haven't done any press on it yet, but we'll probably do some social media and other press just to let people know that it's out there. So when we see that post, please share it with your friends. We want people to be aware of this and use it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
Anything else on this? It's fancy. All right,
and we did that with the help of our friends at Ruker to Milky. So
there we go.
we need to thank them too.
All right. Awesome. All right. Agenda item number 13, identification of plan commission goals for 24 and 25.
I always like to have kind of 2-year work plans of kind of things we want to focus on. So one of the things we can do is kind of review our comprehensive plan and what we've done and what we're working on and what we'd like to do. So I brought up here on screen a little bit. I'm going to zoom out in a little bit. But one of the things, what I intended to this topic tonight to be a part of is really just start to get you as a commission thinking about this. And if you have recommendations from tonight, that's fine. But really start kind of the conversation about where we want to put our priorities. And early on in this document, right here.
Not to be a Debbie Downer, but is this something that would be better discussed at next meeting? If there's any potential changes in the commission?
We could. Why don't I just keep it brief? And
Yeah.
And I just wanted, again, just get you guys thinking about it and.
Yeah, because there may be no changes, so.
Right.
Okay.
So, but just in the executive summary here, number one, create a tax finance district in downtown Columbus. Guess what? That's done. That was done in, not too long ago. Develop and maintain a 5-year capital improvement plan. We just recently had staff meetings on that and working with Administrator Matt on putting that together, so that's going forward. Our comprehensive outdoor rec plan is really, wish I knew exactly what year, but my recollection is it's pretty recent. So that's a good thing. Collaborate with private property owners to ensure that land is available to accommodate future growth and residential growth. One of the things I do in my job is I meet with developers and various interested parties in development. So we're trying to foster relationships, because all this is really based on, a lot of this stuff gets done with public-private partnerships. Number 5, update and monitor the city's zoning, sign, building, and other codes. We've done some of that tonight, and a lot more work needs to be done. As I'm going through and doing permits, one place potentially to start would be the parking code. It could, between languages and standards, that could be updated. Another benefit, so that, so if we have updated code, that helps development to have reasonable regulations. Another reason to focus on the parking code as one of the first areas, some of the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Association financing programs. They want you to have a comprehensive plan that was updated within the last 5 years, which we've done. And then they also want you to identify ways that reduce barriers to creating housing. And parking, there's some challenges in with the wording of the parking code. So that would be one area of, we're doing fences, but we also could do something else like the parking code and take out chunks at a time and move forward. But we want your ideas as well. But one of the things you can go through is look at the recommended policies in each chapter and see what kind of, where you think the priority should be for the commission. But certainly updating the zoning, various aspects of the zoning code is definitely a place we could spend some time. So, but this summary is really kind of, the nice thing is we've done some of this stuff, and it's good to recognize that. But there's also, so I would encourage you, between this meeting and the next, to maybe peruse the policies in each chapter and see what trips your trigger as far as where we should go.
Any initial thoughts or questions or discussion on this? Shelley, you look like you.
When I start, and you might have gotten this too, Andy, when you started on the Plan Commission, I think Matt gave us like an over 100-page document and said that there was so much work that needed to be done. I mean, with zoning and a lot of other stuff. I think, I guess my question is, because you're the resident expert, I mean, you mentioned parking, but where would be a good place to start that you think would be important?
Certainly parking, and let's go back up to that, some of these things here. Parking, stormwater is really important, and I think we are spending some time potentially bringing forth a stormwater ordinance. I would think that would probably go through the utility. But I think there's some opportunities where staff would work on that collaboratively on ways to kind of address all of our stormwater issues. So I think we are doing some things there. I'm just going through, coming across things a lot in the code. I probably need to start my own list, but more recently, the parking one is what came to mind. And I think also downtown, because downtown is different than the rest of the city, addressing the code addressing code to be downtown friendly when it comes to redevelopment is really important. So there's some good things in the code in that respects, and there's some other things we could make a little bit more clear. Some of these things in the code that I've come across are either just need some better wording to make them clearer. But I can put some time into this as well, between this meeting and next as well.
So would that go to ad hoc first then? To review? Because it's an ordinance, or?
I guess that's something I can ask Paul. On the history, I'm not totally familiar with the history of the ad hoc committee and the plan commission and how that's worked together.
Yeah, from my understanding is ad hoc hasn't met a lot. I know since I've been here, it's only been on the CHLPC stuff, and then we found out later it probably should have came here. I'm not sure what comes first, the chicken or the egg, so I think it will be a Paul conversation, because I know the ordinance ad hoc committee, if I understand correctly, doesn't have any authority. So I'm not sure if it would go there first, or if we would just do the work here and then go through COW and council.
Yeah, I think what I was told too was it was pretty much the CHLPC.
Yeah.
To me, it should be a plan commission item.
Yeah.
It should
Okay.
start with the plan commission, in my view.
Right.
But we'll have that conversation with Paul, and I can report back.
Yeah, and I think you're probably right there, because we have a plan commission, and maybe it goes through ordinance ad hoc when there isn't a commission to discuss it. I'm not sure, but you'll want to double check, because there needs some definition and clear lines between when it goes to ordinance ad hoc. Anything else on this?
I haven't got too far into the comprehensive plan yet, but the 5-year capital improvement plan, is that also in here? Or is that a separate document?
That's a separate document, and we're working on, I don't know if there's an existing one, but we started working with Matt on that recently, and so that's something that, I don't know if he'll bring that through this body, but it will get to the city council in some form.
Okay, because I see it listed here under the executive summary.
Right. But I think,
I think it's more of a council thing than a plan commission, though.
yeah, I think so. And it'll probably have some time in COW as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Kyle had a tentative cap plan and an Excel document to talk about funding and how much, it addressed the funding. And I know the fire truck, a new fire truck was in there, like a 1.5 million fire truck. So I know we had something.
Like I said, we've kicked off that process just recently, and so that's a good thing.
Since we're on that topic, not really a plan commission issue, but not only a 5-year capital improvement plan, I think the council and the staff should look at a 10-year as well. Do a 5 and a 10-year, or short, long-term, however you want to look at it. and make that public knowledge, put it out onto the website so that people can look at it. I think that's one of the biggest issues that I have coming into this community 6 years ago, is there really wasn't a lot on there. But we've also had a lot of changeover in city staff too, so that doesn't help anything either. I know you've made some pretty good headway on some things that have been lacking for a while, so thank you for that. But, I'd like to see that type of planning going forward from the council and the committee a whole versus nothing.
Right. I think it is going to be a 10-year plan, but we're in the very early stages of
Right.
that, and it'll work its way through COW, and I'm sure we'll have some visibility on that on our website.
Well, and hopefully now with, knock on wood, we have stability in the city administrator's office so that can actually take off and go somewhere. So glad to see it's been kicked off already. Quite impressed that how fast he works. And you, because you've only been here a couple months now, right?
January 11th was
Thought
was
so.
it, so February, March,
Yeah.
3 months.
Well, keep it up. I like it.
Yeah.
So do
seems
you know what the purpose of the 2050 was? Because apparently I think I might have got those confused. What is the 2050 that we,
The 2050 plan was a report that was asked by a consultant to put together, and that was just a very long-range plan. And the capital improvements plan is a lot more specific. It includes streets, vehicles, anything over $10,000.
So the 2050 plan, is that still relevant then, or maybe not?
That is, I think, up to each person to make their own decision.
Yeah, that's the,
The big debate.
is that a black hole? Is that what I'm,
it's the big debate. I know
Okay.
that we've had that discussion quite a bit at Cowan Council, is, do we follow the 2050 plan? Because there are lots of opinions on that. But not to sidetrack us from the agenda.
Right.
Anything else more on the Plan Commission goals for 24 and 25? All right. We don't need any action on this one either?
No, no.
All right. Sounds good. More discussion to happen there. Item number 14, future agenda items besides the fence topic. More to come on that one?
Fence, if you want me to start working on parking, I could do that. I don't know. It's a busy time of year, but we could maybe have that, maybe kind of a tentative thing. But if you want to wait and talk about overall items as well, other items as well, we can wait till the next meeting to do. Because you'll have potentially some new people, so we could wait till then as well.
I was just gonna say that instead of, sure, the fence code and parking, but maybe you, instead of like pigeonholing a few things, why don't you get your list together that you were mentioned earlier of the things that you think are most important, and then we can take that list, moving forward, as actionable, items.
Sure, yeah.
Anything more on that? All right, awesome. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, first from Traxler, second from Anfinson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I.
All right, anybody object? All right, we are adjourned.